Alright guys, so our next two pages are going to be 37 with our book and then 38 with this note card here. So if we're solving in standard form, you should really always try to factor first. But if you can't factor, that doesn't necessarily mean there isn't an answer. Your answer might just be something not nice, like the square root of 5 or the square root of 7, and so then we should use the quadratic formula instead. So, if not, use quadratic formula. We're going to talk about where the heck this comes from, probably later in the week, but you do have to follow good order of operations here. So kind of the first thing you should do is solve underneath the square root. After that, you're going to add and subtract that to negative b. And then lastly, if you can, you'll divide by 2a. Now, I used all those colors, and I'm going to write out these order of operations as well. So like in purple, what we're doing underneath our square root is we are going to square, multiply, then subtract. So kind of the order there is we're doing the b squared, we're multiplying the 4ac, and then we're subtracting the two numbers, which sometimes that will turn into addition, so I guess I should say add or subtract maybe. After you do that, you're going to add and subtract to the negative b. And then last but not least, you're going to divide by 2a. So, if I kind of do one quick example with you, and I'm not going to do any in the book, I'll save those for all of us for tomorrow. Let's say we do one right underneath here. If we do, for example, let's do y equals 2x squared minus 3x plus 7. I have no idea how this is going to work out. Okay, so first I want to replace y with 0, because if ever I'm solving, y needs to be equal to 0. And then I'm going to identify my a, b, and c. And then I'm going to plug them into my super long formula. Now, if you remember, the goal here is to end up with two answers. Now, those two answers might be the same, but I might not have any. And that could happen to us right now because I really didn't plan this problem out. Okay, so if I do negative b, it's really going to be positive 3 plus and minus the square root of b squared, so negative 3 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 7, all over 2a, so 2 times 2. Okay, so after that, I'm going to simplify this stuff underneath the square root. So the negative 3 squared is 9. I'm going to multiply all this stuff over here. So 4 times 2 is 8, times 7 is 56. Or, you know, you could do 14 times 4, whatever makes sense. Over 4. Then we'll have x equals 3 plus or minus the square root of, and when I subtract those two, I think we get negative 47, which I can't square root that, so for now, no solution. Now I guess if I try one really quickly next to this where you can solve, let's say instead I had y equals x squared plus 7x plus 12. Now again, it's always smart to factor first, and this one will factor, but I'm going to show you how we can solve with the quadratic formula as well. So I would do x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 49, minus a, or 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 12, all over 2 times a, which is 1. So just 2 overall. So I did a little bit of my math as I went there. Hopefully you followed. Then I'll have negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 minus 48, because I have to multiply first, over 2. So x equals negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 1 over 2, which the square root of 1 is just 1, so we'll have negative 7 plus or minus 1 over 2. So one answer is negative 7 plus 1 over 2. Your other answer is negative 7 minus 1 over 2. So negative 7 plus 1 is 6 over 2 is 3. And then negative 7 minus 1 is negative 8 over 2 is negative 4. Oops, sorry, negative 6 or negative 3. So my two answers are negative 3 and negative 4. And if you think about how this factors, it factors to x plus 3, x plus 4. So my answers would be negative 3 and negative 4. All right, that's it for today.